What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Keep It Down podcast. I'm your host, Garrett, joined by my two co-hosts, Logan. Logan, say what's good to the people.
How's it going, everybody? Good to have everyone back.
And TC, how you doing today?
What is up, everybody? Back for another episode of the pod. Let's get into it.
Um, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Keep It Down Pod. Every week we post podcast exclusive content, little stories. We do Q&As from time to time. So if you're looking to keep updated with what we're doing on the pod or what's coming or what's new or any of that good stuff, follow us on Instagram at Keep It Down Pod. Be sure to like, give us a follow. Wherever you watch the podcast, just subscribe, give 5 stars. However, the different sites rate their podcasts, that would be huge. Thank you from all of us at the Keep It Down podcast. Boys, it's a good day today. Not such a good day last Saturday.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think pain is the only way to describe it, if I'm right, boys.
Pain and suffering.
I mean, that effectively, that game, that Oregon versus Washington game effectively knocked us out of the college football picture. A lot of build up to the game, and then for it to turn out the way it did, just really disappointing.
Yeah, so I mean, for me personally, I think I can split this up into two parts. I think there were obviously a lot of negatives that we kind of found out about the Oregon team on Saturday, but also I think there are some positives and some good takeaways from it, and kind of some silver lining to what happened. That game was obviously a really, really rough one to watch the end of. Um, because I mean, I felt like Oregon played a good game. I mean, our defense didn't play great at all, but I mean, also Washington's the number two offense in the country, so people were kind of saying all week that it might be a tough matchup for Oregon, and our defense is good. Pass defense is tough, and when you play quarterback, like the one they have up there at Washington, it got ugly for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
definitely. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, the one thing that really stuck out to me, man, is the defense as a whole. Um, Also, even down to the coordinator, we get to these third and longs or third and shorts, whatever the case is, and time after time after time, he's playing an 8-man or 8-yard cushion into like a zone 3 or zone 2 look. And so, and with a dude like Michael Penix on the other side, who's a senior or junior, I'm pretty sure he's a senior actually, but he's going to pick you apart. This is how it is, especially when you can't get a pass rush. So, definitely as the game went on, a little frustrating to watch that he didn't want to, switch into a man look and be able to manufacture some pressure with the backers or, whatever the case may be. So that's my initial takeaway. When you get into those zone looks like that and you don't have a pass rush with the front four, you're really just hanging your secondary out to dry because no matter who you are, I don't care if you have 4 clones of Deion Sanders in the secondary. If these dudes are having to cover receivers for 7, 8, 9 seconds, it's not going to go well, which it didn't.
Yeah, 100%. Um, you know, I told Schmag the other day when I texted him, I said that's kind of what happens. Like this is kind of stuff that can happen when you get into a shootout with a good offensive team, right?
Hmm.
You might not come out on the right side of it. Um, yeah, I mean, when you put up what we put up 34 points and lose, you really have to point to the defense.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, when you put that many points, you got to come away with a win. I just want to kind of walk you guys through my timeline of this Oregon game because things got a little interesting for me, right? Because I texted you guys before the game started. I said, "Boys, I got the game recording. I got some other priorities I got to attend to. Went down and watched the Bakersfield Condors game, which is um, a local semi, well, not semi pro. What are they? Um,
It's like a AHL. It's like a farm team.
yeah,
Yeah, there you
AHL
go.
team with our cousin K Wolf. And so, anyways, I said I'm not gonna look at my phone. I got it recorded. I'm gonna watch it the next morning.
We did a good
And
job.
yeah, you guys did an awesome job. But you know who did not do a great job was
Mm.
that man Cody Hall.
Oh
Oh
Mm.
my
no.
gosh. So I'm just chilling, drinking a beer, watching the hockey game, and all of a sudden I get a text from Cody saying, "Bro, the Ducks bleeping suck." And I knew this was
Mm.
gonna be a rough one when I watched it the next morning, guys.
That's almost
Um,
worse.
It was the worst,
I
man.
felt really, really bad for you because I mean I
Yeah,
watched it and then I'm like Ty is just sitting there enjoying his night and he's gonna have to come home and watch this tomorrow and we already know. I felt bad for you.
yeah, 100%. But one thing that I do want to get straight off top, guys, is we way out kicked our coverage this year. You know,
Hmm.
like this was an awesome team to watch, and it still will be for the rest of this season. But no one expected this out of us, especially after that tough week 1 loss to Georgia, to bounce back the way we did and to really get ourselves like firmly into the college football playoff picture. No one expected that, First year head coach, transfer quarterback, transfers all over the field, guys. So for us to be in that position was awesome. But a couple of tough calls at the end of the game. The illegal touching
Hmm.
really hurt us on that final drive of the game. But like I said, guys, that's the kind of stuff that can happen when you get into a shootout with a good team, a good offensive team.
Yeah, I was texting Chach at halftime when I mean it was, 14 to 14 or 14-10, whatever the score was, and or 10 to 14. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was texting Chach and I mean Chach came out and said Logan, I'm worried. And I was like, okay, this is the thing, man. Like we just held the number 2 offense in the country to 14 points at halftime. Like all we got to do, we're going to come out, we just got to get clicking, some stuff wasn't right and then Bo Nix threw that bomb of a touchdown. And I remember texting Josh, and I was like, "That's it. Like we're good. We're gonna be fine." And then it just fell apart right at the end. Even on that 9 whatever minute drive that Oregon went on right up until Bo Nix got hurt. I mean, it just felt like we were really in control of that game, and then it all went downhill. And then, of course, you have that fourth down, with Ty Thompson coming in, and then Noah Winnington slipping on a 4th and 1, which
Oh, the slip, man. Oh,
yeah, which I think it's interesting too, and I think and Dan Lanning came and said this after the press conference, and I'll get to Dan Lanning here in a few minutes, but he was. Bo Nix was standing next to him, jumping around. We all kind of thought, I mean, one, punt the ball, maybe might have been a good option there. Two, I mean, maybe call it timeout, put Bo Nix back on the field. He's obviously ready to go, and then that adds a lot, to your play calling scheme for that down. But yeah, that fourth down was it. That was the dagger, and I kind of felt it right when it happened. But
yeah.
I think
Go ahead.
I see a lot of people, coming for Lanning and all this stuff, but he said it in the post game. Actually, he said, we sat in the same room and gave or we talked about how great it was that we were aggressive on our own territory in the fourth quarter against UCLA or the onside kick, whatever you want to have it, and then.
hmm
When the things they don't go your way, you can't just instantly blame that. I
right,
like him being aggressive. There was a chance to win the game, and with our previous coaching staff, it was a lot of not trying to lose, and
hmm
he saw a shot to win it, and it didn't go his way. Which the hindsight, oh, he could have put Bowen, could have done this, but
yeah,
it's just hard to justify the punt when you saw what our defense was putting up out there, man. Like,
right, yeah,
the drive before, you got the incredible angle by
yeah,
Bennett Williams, which eh, people are also just coming at him. They're like, "Oh, he's just bad," but that's just not a throw that college players tend to make from the opposite hash on it was like a 35-yard chair pass from the
yeah.
opposite
Yeah.
hash.
I mean, it's a
Like,
beautiful pass.
yeah, it just doesn't happen very often. And was it a bad angle? Yes. Should he have probably made the play? Also, yes. But so I think a little bit of it needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Um, still a lot to play for. We were a 6.5 or 7 win team was our projection at the beginning of the season, and
Hmm.
we're already at 8, and we still have possibly 3 or 4 games left. So
Yeah,
still a lot to play for, boys.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of go back to being aggressive, like, that 4th and 1 in particular. We've kind of been waiting all season for the defense to step up. We got superstars on the defense with Flo and Sewell and in the secondary as well. But they just haven't made the plays that they need to make in some of these games. You know what I mean? So when you're in those 4th and 1 situations with a chance to win, you want to put it on the better unit. And all year, our better unit has been that offense. You know what I mean? Now, backup quarterbacks in the game, and then you get an unfortunate slip. That's the kind of things that happen when you put the game on the line.
Yeah.
4th and 1, obviously, your last chance. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that can happen. But I don't disagree with the decision to go for it at all. I think it's the right play there.
Yeah, I think it was good too. There's just, obviously, looking back, your mind runs through everything else that you could have possibly done, but we are very glad that we have an aggressive coach that has trust in his players, and all those players obviously love Dan Lanning and love playing for that guy, and he's definitely a leader. He's right there in the boat with a oar, paddle in the boat with all the guys. He's not just barking orders at people telling them what to do. So I guess this kind of rolls straight into my weekly Dan Lanning appreciation segment, because that dude came out in that press conference and that dude could have said so much about how, we didn't execute and it didn't go our way and he slipped and all that stuff. And that guy came out and straight up said, this is on me. This is what happened. This is what I probably could have done differently. And like, didn't beat around the bush at the questions, didn't like anything. And, once again, I say this probably once a week, but I'm just so glad that that guy is the head coach of this football team right now. And, we still have, more to play. Utah's coming into town, and that, could be a precursor to the Pac-12 championship game, depending on what happens with USC to finish out the season. So, there's still a lot to play for, and Utah's a good team, and honestly, Oregon State's a great team too. So, a lot to play for, and I have no doubt that Dan Lanning is going to have those dudes ready, coming up this next Saturday. So,
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I'm right in the same boat with you with the Dan Lanning appreciation. I think, we kind of touched on it in previous pods. Like, it feels like he's our guy going forward, right? He's gonna be
mm-hmm.
here long term. Um, if we finish the year with 2 losses, man, that is a huge victory, and that's a
Huge.
massive, massive building block for us. Give him a couple of years, let him get his guys in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bunch of transfers, not a bunch of Cristobal guys, but let him get Dan Lanning's guys in there so he can really run what he wants to run, um, offense and defense side of the ball especially. And I think we're in really good shape, man. It's definitely a tough loss this last weekend, but in a lot of ways, I got a lot of hope moving forward. With this Oregon Ducks program.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about the defense a lot, and um, these are big changes. It's not necessarily just a philosophy change, but you never know what could happen in 3 or 4 weeks where we'll be at the end of the season. So definitely be interesting to see. Hopefully, we get our guys into some more advantageous looks in the
Mm-hmm.
third and medium to third and long range.
Yeah.
Um, personally, I think. Obviously, I'm not a defensive coordinator of any kind, but I think Gonzo should be shadowing their best receiver and then let the
Yeah.
other two play on the other dude.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. He's clear cutting away the best defender in the secondary, and then you got like a dude like Bossa and Bennett who could, Bossa's technically a linebacker, but I'm pretty sure he was a DB and he can run like the rest of them.
Yeah.
So
He played
I don't
safety
know.
last year.
Yeah, so that's just my take. That's kind of what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking a little more of. We'll see what happens because that's what kind of what happened in the Arizona game when they had that McMillan guy, whoever he was. Sorry about that. Utah's kind of similar. They have one solid receiver, and we'll get to all this later. But so
Yeah.
kind of moving forward, I'd like to see him getting some more pro looks where you got your number one guy on there, number one guy all the time. So, but yeah, Ty touched on getting Dan Lanning's players in town, and yeah, these are Mario Cristobal's cats, most of them, besides the transfers, which there are quite a few, but. So those are the kids he really has the closest bond with. But then you go and you take this one in the chin against your rival, and then he just comes right to the podium and says, I love those kids in those locker rooms and all that stuff. And so yeah, big Dan Lanning guy around here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And so,
Yeah.
when he's being aggressive in the fourth quarter, you're going to love it when it goes right and you're going to hate it when it goes wrong and wish you would have punted the ball. But it's kind of how you got to be sometimes. So,
Yeah, 100%. And initially right after the game, it felt like such a letdown. But you guys are both right. Like still so much to play for this year, guys.
Hmm.
Still a legit chance at a Pac-12 title game, and then a nice looking bowl game after that. How many teams in the Pac-12 would kill to be in Oregon's position right now?
All of
You
them.
know what I mean? So, um, not a lost season at all. Definitely still super positive. And like I said, we really outkicked our coverage this year, guys. Um, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I just got one other thing in the college football realm before we switch. Um, so over the weekend, boys, we had a big tragedy in the world of college football. The
Horrible.
University of Virginia lost three football players. Names are Devin Chandler, Deshaun Perry, and Laurel Davis Jr. I think they named who the dude who unfortunately took these boys' lives, but we're not going to mention it here for obvious reasons. Yeah, it's super sad, man. You just never love to see stuff like this happen. It's awful. We as Oregon fans, we lost Spencer Webb this past summer, and you kind of see what it does to these teams and how much they care and all that stuff. And for something like this to happen, where it's a former teammate of theirs and all that stuff, it's never good to see. So, just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, man, just absolutely senseless. And like, it's just, it's one of those things like you just have to ask the question why. You know what I mean? These kids are playing college ball, and this happens in the parking garage after they get back, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like, this is just not the way that it's supposed to go down for these kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just really heartbreaking, and obviously our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those affected, and just senseless. And I no other words.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you guys said it best, and I don't think I could have said it better than either of you guys. We may be Oregon fans, but the end of the day, we're all still people, and like TC, like you said, our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected by this, and all the families and all that stuff, and yep, yep, not good. Hate to see it. Hate waking up seeing that kind of stuff on the news for sure.
Boys, why don't you say we switch gears a little here? Go to the pro game. So we've been talking about it all year, kind of at the end of pods, just, kind of shooting the shit with the boys about the Eagles.
Hmm.
And none other than the Washington Commanders go to Philadelphia and take down the Eagles at home. What are we thinking, boys?
I
Well,
was
yeah,
sorry.
right off the bat, I wanted to mention this, man. I've seen this happen before. I've
Mm,
seen this movie before, because
sorry.
my 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers were off to a hot 11-0 start before we went to play the struggling Commanders at the time. They got the better of us, ended our undefeated season, and now fast forward a couple of years, now they're doing it to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what it is about those Washington Commanders, but it seems like they love to play spoiler.
I mean, they got nothing to lose and everything to gain, baby.
Exactly, and
Um,
that's the most dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, as a Washington fan, TCA, I literally texted you when I think it might have been the Washington football team when Washington beat you guys, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like we're having a crap season, you guys are not, and like I'm sorry that my team had to beat you guys and ruin a seeding or whatever it was at the time. I was talking to Hannah on Sunday, and I was like, "Huh, well, the Commanders are playing Philadelphia tomorrow. This could get ugly. But what if? What if they go to Philadelphia and win?" And they did just that. So I mean, props to the boys. Props to Taylor Heineke. I mean, he's QB1 now, so beat out a guy from old Dominion came out and beat a Super Bowl ring winning quarterback. So props to Taylor Heineke, man. Dog, complete dog. Played a great game. I mean, the whole team, man. Obviously, nothing to lose, everything to gain. And Philadelphia, man, it's rough.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
we know that the NFL is a copycat league, man, and we saw Kirk Cousins on the plane with all the chains on after their big win. And then after this past week, you see a video surface of that man Taylor Heineke rocking all the chains, man. And then to top it all off, I see him on the Pat McAfee show, and they're kind of doing their outro. And asking him what his plans for the rest of the day are, and he's like, "Oh man, not too much. I'm gonna throw in a couple zins and go home." And they just start going nuts, man. They're like, "Oh, I freaking love this guy," and like he's really just the people's quarterback now, man. I don't know what it is, but people seem to gravitate towards him.
Absolutely, dude. And not only did the Washington Commanders beat them, but they almost exposed them, boys. Um, they were playing some circa 2005 football, dude. Like, I think Jordan Davis, the Georgia defensive tackle, who's now on the Eagles.
Yeah,
Obviously, I think he was out. Which, uh, what is he? 6'8", 320 pounds,
Yeah, that
runs
dude
a
makes a difference.
840 or
Yeah.
something like that. And so I don't know if it was just because he was out, but Washington was running the ball for 3 downs, and then they were throwing a 6-yard pass and getting a first down. They they filibustered this game to death, dude. They yeah, so incredible stuff out of the Commanders there, boys. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward with the Eagles if this run defense becomes a thing, because got all these high end talent in the back end, the Darius Slays, the Chauncey Gardner Johnsons of the world, the all that stuff. And so we'll see how the front seven could hold up moving forward. We've seen them play some solid teams, some maybe not so solid teams, but so maybe when they run into a team like trying to think someone a little more run heavy, maybe like the Packers or someone in that kind of
yeah, maybe
realm.
like a Giants.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely massive win for the Washington Commanders. But, however, I do want to say this: they did get quite a bit of help from the refs in that one, guys. We saw the missed face mask call on Dallas Goddard. Ended up being a fumble on the play, obvious face mask. And then we talked about it in previous pods as well. They got I think it was not a roughing the passer, but
Well,
unsportsmanlike conduct, or a late hit
yeah.
on Heineke in the game, where it looks like the D lineman's really trying to pull up and not trying to hit him at all. So they got a little bit of help, but what do we say all the time, guys? You can't leave it up to the refs. But I
It's
will
true.
say the refs did help them a little bit along the way.
Yeah, I mean that
yeah, Mima always told us never leave it up to the
You can't
refs.
do
that
it, man.
that last play where Heineke fell down, that was the most awkward looking, like uh, the fetal position. Like it was so crazy. I
Well,
mean, I know that obviously Graham tried to let up, and he didn't. Of course, dude's been around for a long time. He's a vet, and he would purposely do that, but it was just a weird play that unfortunately, put the nail in the coffin. But
a really awkward play because Heineke's really trying to run out the clock just a couple more seconds by kind of just wasting time, like juking back and forth back there until he finally takes a knee, and then he kind of gets just barely hit at the end, and then the refs throw the
yeah,
flag. So, definitely an interesting way for the game to end on that one, guys.
yeah, and
And then,
sorry, go ahead,
sorry,
Josh.
Coach Mike.
No, I'm just gonna
Nope,
I'm gonna
nope,
talk about
nope.
the NFC East going forward. So you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, and then freaking Heineke gets up and just goes berserk after
Yeah,
the
stoked
flag
on
gets
it.
thrown, dude. So yeah, I mean, obviously they're looking for a flag there. So um, yeah, you see more and more of those, of like the little awkward little situations like that where you got your tackle or whatever he was wrapped up around Heineke, and then you come in because you're obviously trying to make a play, you're trying to get the ball back, force a turnover, whatever it is, and then you just get caught moving a little too quick for them trigger happy refs. So,
Yeah, I mean, you're trying
I
to
mean,
tackle the ball carrier at that point. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
exactly.
Yeah, so going forward, the NFC East, which it's been kind of weird this year because the NFC East has been a really kind of historically not great division. You have a lot of losing records, and then the team that makes the playoffs usually has a even record, or they're one up or something like that. But yeah, I mean this year, I mean it's been the Eagles, and they've been off to a super super hot start, and then the Cowboys and the Giants both super hot starts, and then you kind of have Washington at the bottom. But I mean, going forward here, I mean Washington's now 5-5 at the bottom of the division. They're going to Houston this weekend to play a 1-7 Texans team. Then they have the Falcons at home. So I mean, they could be 7-5 after the next couple weeks here. Philadelphia goes to Indianapolis, and then they got the Packers at home, and then the Titans at home after that. And then the Cowboys are playing I think they're playing Minnesota this weekend, and then they're playing the Giants on Thanksgiving Day. So,
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of tough games for those top three teams. I mean, it could get way more interesting than it has been with, Dallas and Philadelphia maybe possibly dropping one or two. I mean, obviously, Dallas, I mean, they're going to Minnesota. I mean, that's a rough game. Minnesota's a super hot team right now. But yeah, NFC East is going to get interesting, man. It's kind of weird not having them be the laughing stock of the league, but
Yeah,
here we are.
I was just gonna say that for a long time the NFC East was like, well, someone's got to win the division, man.
Hmm.
And this year, the Giants have come out strong, the Eagles and Cowboys are obviously there. And then your Washington Commanders are just kind of hanging around.
Uh-huh.
If some carnage kind of plays out with the teams in front of them, they could be right back in the picture.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's definitely gonna get interesting here down the stretch. I think you guys get Chase Young back as well, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's coming back. Yeah, next
Yeah,
week, I
so a
think.
little help there on the defensive side of the ball. But I will say I'm pretty impressed with how hot the Giants have started as well.
Yeah,
I thought for sure it was going to be Eagles and Cowboys at the end of the year, but man, those Giants are making it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely way more competitive than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, the Giants, man. Saquon looks like he's kind of coming back into his true form. They're kind of doing what we were just talking about with what the Commanders did to the Eagles. Running the rock incredibly effectively. Defense is playing solid, kind of a bend don't break kind of thing, which can get you into some trouble when you get into these shootouts like we were just talking about. So, yeah, I mean, the NFC East is definitely not the laughing stock of the NFL. It sucked to be a fan of a team in the NFC South, but I mean, we move forward.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, on Saturdays and Sundays, nothing better than turning on the old TV and watching some good old football. But we've also been to a couple of games ourselves, right?
hmm
So I wanted to get into a couple of talking points here of what's better about going to the game and what's better about staying home and watching it on your own TV on your couch. Because, um, you know, for me personally, football is better at home. I gotta say it. When you're going to the game, it's exciting. It's a day, and you're there with all the fans and everything, and the excitement's there. But at the same time, there's a lot of inconveniences too. So I kind of want to get your guys' pros and cons about going to the game as well as staying home.
Oh, that was so awkward. No way we just made the same exact
Okay, so,
noise. Yeah, let's go
go
first.
ahead, dude.
Okay. Yeah, there's a kind of a couple different ways to break this down. So, you got sports like football, hockey, basketball, and then we'll throw basketball and baseball kind of in the same category here. So, you kind of got to break it down into the game itself and then the amenities, if you will. So, football, you got extremely overpriced, basically everything.
Beer,
Um, you know, yeah, so that's definitely a pro for watching from home for football. A case of beer at the liquor store is like 12 or $13 when a tall boy is $13 at the stadium. So,
exactly.
but yeah, like TC was saying, for the experience, to go to a game, there's nothing like it. But also how slow it is something you don't. The commercials just aren't on the TV. There's real life commercials too at the stadium. There's little timers and all that shit, and so kind of a lot of standing around at times, and like a 30-minute halftime and all that stuff. So, um, personally, I'm gonna say watching at home is definitely better for football to start here.
I mean, watching from home is definitely more of a convenience than going to, a game. I mean, I've been the two, college football games that I've been to have both been at the Coliseum down in LA. So obviously getting down there super crazy. Parking when you're paying $60 to park in a freaking back alley somewhere is pretty nuts. Like, I mean, going to the game and experiencing the game live is something that is a lot of fun. But like once you're there and the game's going, it's good. But getting there, getting into the stadium, dealing with all those snobby USC fans the whole way in, um, and also something you guys didn't bring up that I think is a definite talking point here. When you're watching a game at home and you got to go use the restroom, you walk down the hallway, you go use the restroom. If you're at
Yep.
a stadium, man, you got to go use the restroom. First of all, it's always at the most inconvenient time. You got to go to the restroom. It's always a restroom where there's 500 people waiting outside. They've all been drinking too much, and the line's super super long. And then you finally get in there, and then there's always some dude in the install just who ate way too much before the game, and it's never a good time. And it smells bad in the whole thing. And like it takes you like 20 minutes to go, use the restroom, and that's kind of crazy. I mean, I think there's pros and cons of both actually, but obviously like being there at the stadium and like seeing like a game live is super cool.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm gonna say is like that experience of seeing the game live and seeing how fast the game is, and just really getting to appreciate it live and in person. There's really nothing like it, but just the kind of inconveniences that surround the whole thing, like Schmog said, the parking, the beer and the drinks is all expensive. The food's expensive, and then you're trying to wait till halftime to go to the restroom, but just so you don't miss any of the actual game that you paid so much money to go see. You try to go to the bathroom at you go to the bathroom at halftime, and man, that line is outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're sitting at home, number one, you can just eat until you're sick because you got just unlimited food. You know what I mean? The beers are coming easy because you can just walk right over to the fridge and grab one. Restroom, same thing. Whenever you want it, it's there. So there's definitely a lot more convenience associated with just watching it at home on the flat screen, you know. But I will say this: some sports are better to go to the game than others, right? I think some of why football is a little bit intense and inconvenient is football, I think, has the most passionate fans, right? So, like for us, we live in California, but we're Oregon fans. So, when we go to USC for an Oregon game, we
Hostile.
have to deal with all the other USC fans out there, guys. And it's a
Yeah.
hostile environment, you know what I mean? To be wearing your Ducks jersey through campus at USC. Everyone's giving you the fight on. Everyone's yelling at you. Zero championships, all of that stuff. But if you go to a baseball game, right? The atmosphere is way more chill,
It for
especially if it's
sure is.
like just like a middle of summer kind of game, like not a whole lot of implications going on. It's not playoff time yet. The fans are a lot more relaxed, and you're kind of just hanging out watching the game. You know what I mean? Especially since we're kind of more casual baseball fans than we are with the football side of things, right?
Yeah, and I think it's
Absolutely.
easier to like when you don't have any like dogs in the fight, it's way
Mm-hmm.
easier to just go and like enjoy the game. Like when we go watch a baseball game, we go watch like the Jethawks play or someone like that, or like
Condors.
we yeah, or the Condors. I mean, um yeah, I mean when you don't have a dog in the fight, like it's good, but like when your favorite team's playing, like obviously you're way more into it for different reasons. But hockey, I will say, though, is one of I think the most fun sports to watch live. Like going down and watching the Condors play, or like watching games live is so much fun. And I mean, I think watching hockey live is better than watching football live, in my opinion.
Oh, by leaps and bounds, I don't know if it's because the rinks are so much smaller. They see way less people, obviously, and it just like literally feels like you're on the ice almost, because there's the two little cutouts for the benches. But besides that, it's just glass between you and the game. So I always think that's really cool. And the speed those dudes are moving and skates and sticks and all that stuff. And honestly, shout out to the Bakersfield Condors because they created a lit little environment in the old
They
Robert Mank
do.
Arena. So, we got to see some playoff games from time to time, and that place was
It's
rocking,
so much
dude.
fun.
And you got the hostile fans and all that stuff, and yeah, dude, it's a lot of fun. If anyone listening is local, or I mean, tickets are like $12 or less. So definitely, if you're looking for something to do, go watch a Condors game. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I just wanted to jump into a little bit of story time, guys. I wanted to get into some of your guys' experiences of going to the game. Don't say anything incriminating, though. You know what I mean, guys? We'll keep that
Mhm.
stuff on the down low. But we do have some fun stories about getting to the game as well as watching the game. I wanted to start it off with when Logan and I went to our first Oregon game at USC at the Coliseum. Oregon came out in the Stormtroopers and got the dub, but that's not what we're talking about here, guys. Okay, so first things first, we get to our seats, guys, and we find our seats and about maybe 20 minutes later, these two ladies who are obviously USC fans and have obviously been drinking all day come up and they start just yelling at us because we are supposedly in their seats, which we were not. I showed them
Hmm.
evidence, hey, we're in row K, seat 132 or whatever it was, and had them walk away. And mind you, this is after we get chastised the whole way walking into the stadium by all the other USC fans. So that's kind of a little example of what I'm talking about with dealing with the other people at the game. Um, any stories or experiences you guys were trying to share?
Yeah, so I mean that first game that we went to was just it was so much fun, and shout out Michael Yamas because he was the one that rode down with us and
He was.
went to the game with us, and it was a great day, man. Like getting down there was not too bad for a bunch of young, high school, and I was in college at the time, but make it down there, and I mean just going to see the campus, and obviously that was my first big stadium that I've been to, so that was super cool. um was something that sticks out of me was when we were walking over to where the tailgate area was to go meet up with another family from Tatchby that was there at the time, and we're walking by and we see this big Sprinter van, and there's some dudes just hanging out sitting outside of it, and I look over and like I kind of do a double take, and like I think Ty and I realized at the same time, but like Howie Long time NFL player, long time professional football commentator, is just sitting there hanging out. His son played on the team at the time, and obviously Chris, went on to have a great career in the NFL, multiple Super Bowl rings. Um, but yeah, I mean, his son's like playing in the game for Oregon that day, and like we went and got to go and hang out and talk for a few minutes, and that was super awesome. And then obviously seeing where Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy used to be was a good moment for us as well. So that was fun. But for those of you listening, it got taken away because of some money that went towards Reggie Bush after he before he graduated, and they took his Heisman away. And anyway, it was the whole thing. We'll talk about it a different time. But those two really stand out to me about that first time that we went.
I've got one. So Schmag and I and our dad and our Uncle B and K Wolf. You'll hear about him in the future. We also went down to the Coliseum because that's it's either that or UCLA are really the two closest options to catch the Oregon Ducks play. So we all go down there. We have all these plans. And I have a couple memories
Yeah.
of this. One, we were tailgating in the back of the truck in this little parking lot situation, and like some van like rolls down the alley just completely randomly. They're like carpet removal people or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so we were cooking up the brats or sausages or whatever they were, and our Uncle B like leans over the back of the tailgate, like over the fence, and asks homies if they want like some sausages or something. They're like, "Oh hell yeah, dude!" And so that always sticks out to me, dude. Is just some random alley glizzies to the little workers there. Um, yeah, that one, and then the game itself. This was maybe not the greatest time to be an Oregon football
Yeah.
fan. I think it was like 63-30 or something like that, somewhere in that neck of the woods. What was it, Schmuck? 2016,
Oh yeah, it was bad.
maybe?
Oregon lost big time. Who was our quarterback at
Yeah,
the time?
Oregon lost
Pruitt.
big time.
Pruitt.
Well, it was Herbert was hurt, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was Braxton Burmeister was
There
the
you go.
other one. Anyways, and so the heckling, Schmag, I, all of us are getting involved in the heckling. They're talking shit or whatever, and so we're kind of chirping back and forth. And then as the game's going on, Schmag and I just get quieter and quieter and quieter. And then, so definitely the duality of going to a sports event when your team wins big or your team
Yeah.
loses big. So that's one that stands out to me
Okay,
for sure.
but how are you guys gonna tell the story without the schmog cooler situation? I wasn't even there, and I know about this whole deal.
Okay, 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 okay,
Can I
okay, okay,
tell it?
okay,
Can
okay,
I
okay.
feel like if this is gonna be on me, I should at least get to tell it.
Yeah, give the man a
Yeah,
chance
go
to
ahead, Schmag.
explain his side.
Okay, so after the second time we went, and this was with Chach was there, my uncle Brian, my cousin Kellen, Big J, our pops was there, Chach and myself, and
And Ty was at
Ty
college,
was
just
at
to
college,
clarify.
so
It's not because we didn't like the
yeah, he
kid.
wasn't there the second time. So we watched the game. We find the hotel. We decided to stay down there for the night. Find the hotel. We go up to the room, and we brought an ice chest up there with us from like the day before that just had some water and some drinks and stuff. So the next morning we get up, and obviously all the ice in the cooler melts. mostly melts. So we're leaving the hotel and we take the elevator to go down into like where the car is parked, and I'm wheeling. It's a the ice chest has like wheels, and I'm wheeling it out of the elevator, and the cooler, like I take a sharp corner to get out of there, way too sharp with a ice chest full of water and some ice, and literally it just like dumps like the whole entire ice chest that's full, and I swear to you it must have been like 10 gallons of water just like everywhere, like all over this little like lobby entrance area to like where the hotel is, like from the parking garage. Like it's a parking garage, but like it's still like a nice like carpeted area that like you go up into the hotel, and I spilt water and there was like so like all the water spills, and there's like some water bottles and a couple like beer cans that just like spill out, and it's like an inch deep of water that's just draining out all over the parking garage. And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So I just go and throw everything back in real quick, like all the waters and all that stuff, and take off after that. But it was horrible. I mean, that carpet still might be wet to this day. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I just remember, we're all in front of Schmag because Schmag's ice chest guy, so he's obviously going to get out of the elevator last. And so we like start walking away, and then Schmag lets out a "Oh, dude!"
A
and
classic, yeah.
turns around, and then we all turn around, and there's just fucking water bottles and inches of water and ice, and like it was like these two little elevators like side by side, so it was like a little kind of trapezoidal little
Mhm.
cutout where the two elevators were, and it was just full of water, and the elevators got water in it. And Schmag's like, "What do I do?" And we're like, "Well, get this shit and let's go." And oh my gosh, dude, so many funny stories from that
Yeah,
trip.
that was a fumble on my part. That's my bad. Shout out that hotel staff. But
Yeah, definitely, man. I just wanted to get into one more really cool experience that I had of going to the game. Um, Last year, 2021, I was able to go to a Dodgers game, guys. But this wasn't any just normal run in the mill experience that I had, right? Shout out to my mother in law, old Nikki O. She hooked it up with these VIP tickets, guys.
mm,
And so we get there and we go to like this little private like restaurant down below the stadium with our VIP tickets. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Like Mike, right? But there's a scene where he is in the hotel room and he finds out that all the food is for free. And bro, I was in that same boat because we got down there and the waitress told me that all the food was free. And I was like, all right, in that case, I'm gonna have the wings, I'm gonna have a burger, I'm gonna have some nachos, I'm gonna have a hot dog, like just ordering everything. Because all you had to pay for was your like alcoholic beverages.
easy.
So I got a couple of beers as well, but just kind of tack them on there. So I'm just absolutely just going in at this little restaurant like below Dodger Stadium, and then to top it off, man, our seats are right below or right behind home plate,
Mm.
right? And so we get to our seats, we sit down, and mind you, we're still like in COVID protocols. So like on either side of us is like four empty seats on each side. So we got just room to spread out and everything. And then, bro, I learned that we also get free food to our seats with a waitress. So I'm just still going hard, man. I'm getting chicken tenders in the first inning. I get a Dodger dog in the second inning, nachos in the third inning, so on and so forth. So I am just in heaven, guys. Like this is like one of the best experiences I ever had. And then maybe like second or third inning, I'm looking down in front of me and I'm like, this dude kind of looks familiar, but like I can't figure out who it is. And then it comes to me, it's Lou Ferrigno. It's the OG Hulk, man. Sitting like two rows in front of me at Dodger Stadium, just really cool. And then throughout the game, I'm getting texts and I'm getting screenshots, and like people are seeing me on TV because I'm right behind home plate. And my father-in-law Ole, he notices that every time he sees me on the TV, I got something new to eat in my hand. So just really cool experience, man. Because like for a guy like me, I'm probably not gonna ever have that experience again. But dude, definitely a really cool experience, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely got my money's worth.
Dude, I remember you texting me and just being like, "You're never gonna guess who's sitting in front of me at the stadium right now," and then we were both freaking out. I mean, obviously Lou Ferrigno, the original Hulk. I mean, big time bodybuilder from back in Arnold Schwarzenegger's days. They used to compete against each other, and Ty and I have our own inside jokes about Lou Ferrigno. But I mean, I was so excited for you, and I mean, you were definitely living your best life that day, dude. Room service and like getting to sit near Lou Ferrigno, like that's big time.
And all the food was for free.
For free.
That just sparked a funny memory in my mind. What about when we took the Reuter bus to go watch the '09 Tehachapi
Oh,
High School football team playing Hanford?
the
And
Fog Bowl.
I remember, yeah, we like go to the game, watch whatever. Of course, they win, and we're on the way home. And I got my little bag of Reese Pieces on the bus, right?
Oh no.
and so it's a school bus, full of people, and I'm sitting next to my dad, and something happens. We hit a big old divot on the freeway or something, and I lost all of my Reese Pieces on this
You're
bus,
just
dude. Every
rolling
last
around
one.
on the floor, just like sounded like a bunch of rocks all over the metal bottom of this school bus. And it's just quiet because like everyone's like conked out or sleeping or just being quiet. And then you just hear these Reese's Pieces, dude, just like all over the bottom of the floor, dude. It was so funny.
Yeah, Jay was
Oh,
so
he was so
pissed, man.
mad. The embarrassment.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
definitely, guys. All right. Well, I just wanted to get you guys' take on that because it's something I've been thinking about lately. Let's switch gears a little bit here, guys.
Yep.
I got a little bit of a pop quiz for you. And I don't
Uh,
know if this is an area you guys excel in or are not so strong in, but this is going to be a geography pop quiz, guys. I'm going to give you the name of a college, and you tell me what state it belongs to.
we're gonna get
Okay?
some weird ones
And
here.
you know what?
Yeah,
I
there's gonna
just
be
want
some
you
weird.
guys to shout out the answer. Okay?
Okay, no
First one
buzzer
up.
system.
We're gonna get ourselves a little warmed up here. Okay? First one out the gate. Clemson.
Easy. South Carolina.
South Carolina.
All right. Point for Chach. I want you guys to keep score. By the way.
Oh, we're doing scar. Okay, I'll be way. I'll,
All right, I got a, I
I'll
got
be
a,
way
I got a
faster.
notepad.
Second one. Notre Dame.
Is that
All right,
Indiana.
that's two Chach.
it is in Indiana. Dang it. I
All
almost
right,
said Maryland.
boys. A lot of smart people go to this school. We'll see if you guys are just as smart. Yale.
Uh,
Nope.
Delaware.
Schmang?
It's for sure on the East Coast. Is it in Maryland?
No, that is wrong as well. It's actually in Connecticut, guys.
Uh,
Damn, I knew it was one of those
All
weird
right,
little
boys.
states.
Be on your toes for this one. Baylor.
Texas.
All right. Schmog is
Yes.
finally on the board
Damn.
here. All right, guys. Next one up. The Air Force Academy.
Ooh.
They always have good punters at this school, and there's a reason for that. It's in
Because in
Colorado,
Colorado.
guys.
Dang it, it is.
All right. Think Deion Sanders on this one, guys. Jackson State.
I was just
Alabama.
going to say that.
It's
Okay.
Mississippi.
It is.
Foul
Jackson,
play.
Mississippi. Yeah.
All right,
Collusion.
guys. All right, guys. This one might shock you, but it's Wichita State.
Kansas.
That is Kansas with the Wichita State Shockers,
Damn.
boys. All right, we're gonna kick it old school here, guys. Old Dominion.
Oh God, I knew you were
Illinois.
gonna say this one.
Wrong.
Old Dominion.
No, it's in
No, it's Ohio.
Bama, Alabama,
No.
Arkansas. Is it a southern state?
Yeah.
Kentucky.
No.
Dude, I'm done. Mississippi.
Can't just name all this.
Is it
Can't just name
Tennessee?
all the states, guys. But no, it's not Tennessee.
All right, I'm done. I quit.
It's
Shout out Taylor Heineke.
It's
I'm done. I
Virginia,
quit too.
guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, here we go. This one's some simple geography, you guys. Cleveland State.
Ohio.
All right, Shmai got it. Now we know
I was
of a
ready.
very infamous transfer from this school, guys. It's gonna be Oral Roberts,
Oh gosh.
Wazoo quarterback. Infamous
No.
transfer from this school. Schmog's favorite Pac-12 announcers made it clear. Any guesses? Oral
Wait, what was the
Roberts.
school?
I'm wrong. That was the incorrect word.
Oh, okay, I was confused for a
But the
second.
question
okay,
is, where is Oral Roberts?
Like Missouri.
Okay.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
No,
Yeah, I
no
wouldn't
way.
have guessed it. I was thinking
All
East
right, last
Coast.
one. One you guys should know. Appalachian State.
Tennessee.
Wrong.
No, it's North
Correct.
Carolina. For the dub, baby.
And that's
Get absolutely wrecked, Schmag.
all right, Schmuck. So I think we all found out that maybe geography is not your best subject.
Okay, maybe. I mean, sometimes it's good, but maybe if we're naming weird colleges and honestly, you mentioned the Pac-12 commentators, and I lost it after that. I wasn't even thinking about the schools anymore. I was just talking about how much I hate
So
Well,
them.
checked out.
yeah, that was my bad, guys. I don't know what I was thinking with the incarnate word versus Oral Roberts, but to be honest with you, if I didn't look it up, I would have no idea where either one was.
Same, nobody's.
Also.
Oh man,
All right, boys. TC, that was a
great segment.
great
Loved it.
segment. But I have an update
All
for
right,
the
give me
two
an
of you.
update.
Any guesses? Any guesses
I'm
on what
thinking
it's
it's
about?
going to be about some Southerners fishing, maybe.
Let's go.
Baby. All right, so they're facing a year in federal prison. Uh, Give me some. What do you guys think the charges are for said fishing scandal? For those listening who didn't know, last week we touched on the it was a Lake Erie was the fish mag a walleye tournament, and basically these dudes who have been suspected in the past of said thing, their fish weighing just an ungodly amount of weight. All these videos started surfacing, and these fish are stuffed with weights and fish fillets, all kinds of stuff like that. So, but I want to hear what you boys think the charges are for said
I
thing.
mean, telling from the video that came out of that whole debacle, I would say high treason.
Yeah, right.
I mean, those dudes were heated on some old school old head type stuff, dude.
Yeah, like
Um,
it's got to be something like,
it's like criminal mischief, I'm sure, or something like that. I should know this, being the one with the degree that I have. Is it like criminal mischief or something like that?
you know, you know what I'm gonna
Okay,
guess?
no, so
I'm gonna guess racketeering because I really don't know what it means, so I think it might just fall under that category. Because, like I said, I have no idea what that is. They
they can
might
hit it
get
to
away with
Rico.
the Rico.
Okay, so the two main ones are grand theft and
Mm.
fraud, or the because grand theft of stealing the money for hypothetically cheating in the tournament.
Any,
The one that I found was wild.
no, I was gonna say anything
Go ahead,
over nine
Schmack. What do
hundred
you got?
ninety nine dollars would fall into that category.
Also, if fraud is illegal, then
Exactly,
USC should be arrested right now.
Yeah, get them out,
exactly, all of
every
them.
single one of them.
Um, the one that I thought was wild was from like their game warden office. Like the DNR charged them with unlawful ownership of a wild animal for the fish fillets that were stuffed inside of the mouth of the other
Whoa,
fish.
Mm.
Because, yeah,
that's a
so I thought that was kind of wild.
that's a crazy one. I mean, they're obviously they take that personal up there. What happened? But
Oh, dude,
yeah, for
absolutely.
fishing game to get involved like that's pretty crazy. I mean, they're going after whatever charges they can get, but that's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, and then so once I started doing some digging, so these two dudes, I didn't write down their names, of course, that's how it goes. But so I guess like approximately 8 months ago, they were suspected of the same thing. They both take a lie detector test. One passes and one fails, and so they're just like, oh, whatever, and then they just move along. And like the one dude just completely failed the
Yeah,
polygraph, and then I was reading the next sentence, and it said, which is not uncommon for fishing tournaments,
What?
yeah,
which is also crazy. Like, who is polygraphing these dudes?
yeah. That's just gnarly, dude. I'm just seeing images in my head of like some Southern sheriff being like, "Boys, we gotta throw the book at these guys. They're not gonna get away with this in my
Like
Dude,
town."
this giant, like a giant mustache with like the glasses on, just staring at him. You stuffed your last fish, pal, and then like sending him off to the clink. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
Like,
dude.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting though because I know like in the past, like there's been that infamous NBA referee that got caught rigging games. So did he face jail time? I think there's a Netflix documentary. I'm gonna have to watch it because I don't know how all that played out. But this isn't the first time we've seen like a sports event rigged. You know what I mean?
yeah, very interesting for sure. TC, it looks like you got some homework to do, man. We need a full movie report done on that, top to bottom.
I'm on it.
Classic book report. Yeah, and then just elaborating on the unlawful ownership of a wild animal, that means they can never have a fishing license again
Oh,
anywhere.
dang.
That's like a federal fishing game type thing. So definitely something to keep an eye on. I have no clue when this trial, if there even will be one for this starts, but it's going to be
For those
something,
of
I
you
guarantee it.
listening,
So
don't go
definitely keep
stuffing your walleyes.
You can't do it.
exactly.
Don't do it.
Never works out. Um, moving into our CFP top 25 pick'ems presented by Dubby. So the boys are here. Our presenting partner, Dubby. Um, you know, like we always say, they've got no calories, no maltodextrin, no artificial colors. So it's very healthy, if you will say, the healthiest you're going to find of any energy alternative. Coming in at $1.33 per serving. It is also the cheapest you're going to find. They got the patented neurofactor formula. It's going to keep you focused and locked without the jitters and crash associated with big energy. Use code Keep It Down for 10% off your purchase. No spaces, no all caps. Code Keep It Down for 10% off your purchase at w.gg. Um, I can say for myself, I thought it was really good. I bought some like a couple weeks ago. Everything they say is true. It tastes decent. It There's no crash or jitters associated with it. The way I would kind of describe it is like a pre-workout, but you can tell it has no like beta alanine in it for the pump and all that stuff. I don't know what Schmack
Yeah,
think
yeah,
is,
I
but
thought it was super good too. It's definitely like imagine like a pre-workout just without the kind of the extra juice that like stuff like beta alanine, which gets kind of that itchy thing that's that ingredient that makes you itchy in most pre-workouts you take for going to the gym. No jitters, no crash or anything like that, and it tastes really good. I tried the Dragonade flavor and then the it's like a
guava, lime,
yeah, the
watermelon
Dragonade's
kind of
really, really good.
something like
So if
that.
anyone's out there, thinking about ordering, definitely, put in your order and use that code. So, and then the first time you order, also they send you a $10 off coupon for your next order. So keep that in mind.
And I I want to say if you go on their website and throw your email in the little notification box, there's a ton of Black
Mhm.
Friday deals going on. So I think there's one that's like you buy one tub of energy, you get a whole free tub of hydration mix that they also make. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Put your email in there. Just look around, see if it's something you like or it's someone you can get it for Christmas or anything like that. So boys,
Let's
moving into
get
the
into
pickums
it, man.
themselves.
Let's deal.
Starting off 10 Utah at number 12 Oregon. Oregon's a 3-point favorite, which is kind of surprising because from Monday. So I don't know if it's danced around with the uncertainty of Bo Nix, which somehow we glossed over in the Oregon section. But, anyways, let's get some initial thoughts here,
Yeah,
boys.
guys, I think Bo Nix will play, and I think that's a huge deal for Oregon, obviously, right, guys? We played Utah twice last year, and neither one went in our favor. But the thing that's different this year is that we get them at home, right? Both times last year we had them at Utah and then in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, for the Pac-12 championship game. We
Yep.
finally get them in Autzen, and I think we're going to be a little bit pissed off, guys. So I'm rolling with the Oregon Ducks on this one. Big bounce back win as well as a personal revenge game for us. So I'm looking for a big bounce back out of Oregon to show that, hey, we're still playing for something this year, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon has to win out if they want a shot at the Pac-12 championship game and hopefully a really good bowl game against like a tough like top 10 kind of team and kind of let us know where we stand with what we still have on our roster. Yeah, I mean, I think Oregon's going to have a good week. I think Bo Nix is going to play. I mean, that dude's he's a competitor. He will, and he knows the gravity of this game, and um, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good close game. Obviously, Utah's a great team. They're well coached. Their quarterback Cam Rising is an elite college level quarterback. But I mean, Oregon at home, man. Like you said, TC, we got them 2 times away last year, and I think us playing at home after the game that we had last week. I think, yeah, I think it's going to be a good week for Oregon for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you guys. Obviously, it leans heavily on the Bo Nix situation. Also, everyone's just writing off Ty Thompson automatically. We've never seen the kid start. We've seen him play in garbage time and some intricate situations like for example, the one with Bo
Hmm.
or whatever you want to call it. Um, I think Bo's going to go. Like Schmag was saying, he's an elite competitor. You can tell it about him. Obviously he was completely banged up. You saw him hobbling around out there, jumping
Yeah.
around, want to get back in the game. Anyways, that being said, we talked last week about how Washington and Oregon was a matchup that could go poorly in Washington's favor. And so, with the passing offense of Washington versus the little suspect secondary of Oregon, or the pass defense, whatever you want to call it. But this week, with a little more of a balanced offense team in Utah coming into Autzen Stadium, Oregon's only allowing 100 yards on
Yeah.
the ground per game. And so I think we could do a little more of what we want against this Utah team. Definitely going to be a little more balanced attack. And Cam Rising's also not at 100%. He sat out a game a couple weeks ago, and he's been trending upwards slowly, but has been missing some of those throws that he's been known to make. So that'll definitely be interesting to watch. Dalton Kincaid, their main target tight end, he is also banged up. So I kind of touched on it in our first little opening segment, but I think this is a very good week to put Gonzo on their number one dude. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but put him on him and let the rest of the team deal with the other dudes. So I think there's a prime example. I think they're going to do it with Bo Nix. Give
Let's
me
go,
Oregon by
baby.
10. Staying in the Pac 12. This likely is going to decide who will, one of the teams that will be playing in the Pac 12 championship is number 7 USC at number 16 UCLA. USC is a 1.5 point favorite on the road, if you will, even though it's a 1 hour bus ride. If USC wins, this will be their first top
Yeah.
25 win of the season. Of course, the only other ranked team they played was Utah, and they lost. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think UCLA is far too balanced and a well coached team for USC to handle. I think UCLA is going to win. It's probably going to be an absolutely crazy game because that just always seems to happen. I think UCLA has a very balanced defense. Maybe didn't see it too well against that Oregon game a while back, but then also that USC team gave up 49 points to the Utah team. Is a little more conservative of an offense, so I think it'll be a good one. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
taking
definitely,
UCLA here.
man. You've heard me pick USC in the past a couple of times, but really that was just because I wanted them to be a potential top 10 matchup for Oregon in that Pac-12 championship game. With Oregon kind of getting bounced out of that college football picture, doesn't really matter anymore. So the gloves are coming off, man. I this USC team is the biggest pretender. For them to have a number 7 ranking right now is just outrageous. I mean, in some respects, I get it because just the one loss on the record so far. But at the same time, the first time they got tested on the road against Utah, um, obviously came out on the wrong end of that one. Not a true road game this week because, like Shachin mentioned, it's only an hour away. But man, I think DTR is just going to put on a performance on Saturday, guys. Um, Chip's got the boys buzzing at UCLA. This is not the same old easy win UCLA that we know in the past. I'm liking UCLA in this one, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-12 is a weird place, man. Like, I mean, Oregon losing at home to a Washington team who's barely ranked, and then you have UCLA going to Arizona, and oh, I'm sorry, no, Arizona beat UCLA at home, correct? Or yeah, so I mean Arizona comes
Correct.
into UCLA and beats UCLA at home. Like the Pac-12 is a crazy place, but because of that reason, you could never really say like, oh well, UCLA is not a good team because they lost to Arizona. Like UCLA is still a great team. Like I mean DTR is a great quarterback. They that tight end I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but that dude's like 6'8" and will catch anything you throw even remotely in his general direction. So, I mean, UCLA is a great team, and their defense, I mean, I want to say leading the Pac 12 in sacks, I believe. USC loses Travis Dye, career ending leg injury last week. I mean, USC is going to be trying to throw the ball, and they're going to have a lot of great players to go against. So, I got UCLA at quote unquote home for sure. I think at least by a touchdown.
Yeah, definitely. And on the pod before, we kind of clowned on Travis Dye for dipping out of Oregon and going over to USC, but our hearts really do go out to the guy. Just a
Yeah.
horrible injury he suffered, and we just wish all the best for Travis Dye. So, just kind of want to clear that up a little bit.
Yeah, for all those listening, like, oh, you guys are just aren't going to bring it up. Yeah, it's all love. We poke fun, but I mean, Travis did a lot for the the Oregon program, and we're thankful to have him during his time there. But um, yeah, yeah, T's and P's for sure.
Yeah, I think UCLA is going to try to do what Oregon State did to USC. USC beat Oregon State by 3 points, 13-10. Which, with that offense, with those weapons, USC is very big play dependent, and UCLA is not a team to give up very many big plays. So definitely going to be interesting to watch. Moving forward, number 4 TCU at Baylor.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I guess I'll start here
Um,
because I was on the TCU bandwagon hard, and then I just needed them to lose to Texas. Doesn't matter. They beat Texas, and then Oregon ended up losing. Doesn't matter anymore. So I'm right back on that TCU bandwagon. Baylor's just having a rough season. TCU, I think, is just they're a good team, and I think they're deserving of being where they're at. And as long as they win out, I think they'll have a good shot at being in the playoff. But yeah, I mean, I got TCU by at least a couple touchdowns here for sure.
yeah. Schmag, as captain of the TCU bandwagon, I just wanted to ask for your permission to come aboard.
Please.
Because I'm hopping on the train, man. I don't know who else is on the schedule in the Big 12 for them to really get tested late in the season here. Obviously, a huge win against Texas last week, and they really have been proving it, man. Obviously, that number 4 ranking reflects that. TCU is just they're looking like that stable. We're gonna get out of the Big 12. I don't know if I necessarily want to see them in a college football playoff game because I just don't know how that's gonna play out for them. But
Right.
as far as the Big 12 goes, I don't see them losing, especially before the Big 12 championship game. Baylor's just too shaky for me. I got to roll with TCU.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah, TCU just seems to be the team that just keeps on squeaking them out, man. We just kept talking about it. When are they going to have the game? The Sunday Blues, the interceptions are going to come, the fumbles, or whatever you have it. An injury, something like that. It just never seems to happen, man. They're just evading it at all costs. They had a 17-point deficit before halftime, a 14-point deficit before halftime, and they won
Yeah,
both of those football games. So yeah, I mean, I've been a complete TCU hater for the whole year, and I think this is going to be the one that breaks it, boys. So taking TCU, yeah, probably by at least 2 touchdowns, if not 3. But yeah, I'm not sure who TCU has left, but I mean, they're obviously in the Big 12 championship game, and I want to say Texas on the same side as them, but not positive. Anyways, um, moving on. This one, boys, it's going to look a little strange, but I've
let's
got
see
some
it.
facts here to back it up. We got Illinois
Hmm.
at number 3, Michigan. Going into the big house, 17.5 point dog. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm going to pick the upset, and I'm not. I'm taking Michigan to win, but I think this is actually a good test for Michigan, which I haven't had very many of this year. Illinois, I know they lost last week, which is a game they're supposed to win. They're running for like 247 yards on the
Yeah.
ground or something a game
Hmm.
Mhm.
in conference play, which is insane. And so I think it'll really be a test for Michigan for how well they can hold up against a consistent team, to say the least. A lot of these Big Ten teams are all their offensive splash plays or whatever you want to call it. So I think it'll be a good test for Michigan. I'm taking them to win still, but it's definitely going to give us a kind of preview of what's to come next week in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah,
So
definitely. And I don't think Illinois is necessarily a bad team, guys. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Big win over Virginia. They go in and beat Iowa, which we know is not an easy team to beat in that Big Ten. But besides that, their losses, they've always kind of just kept it close. You know what I mean? They're not getting blown out, and I think that's gonna be kind of the case in this situation in the game coming up this Saturday. I think that they're going to keep it close, but Michigan is just too much, especially at home in the big house. Um, like I said, I like Illinois to keep it close, but I like Michigan to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Illinois is a bad football team at all, and I mean, I think there's a lot of other teams that Michigan would rather be playing this week because I think for Michigan, I mean, they are obviously looking towards next weekend. Um, you
Trap
know,
game.
yeah, I mean, I mean, I know they're looking forward towards Ohio State, but I mean, I mean, they have a decent team in front of them that is literally nothing to lose, everything to gain. So, I mean, I still like Michigan at home. I'm not a whole lot of teams I'm going to pick over Michigan when Michigan's at home, especially right now. I mean, the thing for Michigan is, I mean, they just got to get out of there with a win, and they got to get out of there healthy. I mean, Cade McNamara, they lost for the season. So I mean, they gotta get out with everyone healthy if they want to have a good game against Ohio State the following week. So I'm gonna pick Michigan by home by at least a couple touchdowns, but the real win is if all those players get out healthy. So.
Definitely.
For sure. Last pick 'em here, boys. Number 22, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. Tell me how Oklahoma's a 7.5 point favorite in
Because
this game
Oklahoma
against
State
the
lost
so-called.
49 to nothing
Go ahead.
the one week that I picked them this season. So you know what? I'm done. I'm not picking Oklahoma State. I said I wasn't picking them anymore, and they've completely betrayed my trust, and I will not pick them again. Oklahoma is having a Oklahoma is having a tough time this season. Obviously, this season has not gone their way with the coaching changes and the um, everything that's been going on there with all the transfers and what have you. But I got Oklahoma at home over Oklahoma State.
Yeah, definitely. This one I'm kind of torn on, guys, because I just don't really know what to think. At one time, Oklahoma State was in that college football picture.
Mm,
They were right up there battling with TCU to see who's going to be coming out of that Big 12 conference. On the other side, you got Oklahoma, who's really just been in shambles all year. You know what I mean? Can't really find their footing this year. So this one is really a toss up for me, guys, especially with Oklahoma being at home. Obviously, a huge factor in college football. Um, I think Oklahoma State might just be a little bit more of a consistent team this year. I know they've kind of fallen from grace as of late, but I still like them. I'm going Oklahoma State.
I'm also going to stick
Yeah,
with the Cowboys here, boys. Oklahoma's just not it for me, man. They're just not doing it for me. The Brett Venables hired seems a little random to me. I don't know if he's one of those guys who is just meant to be a coordinator. It's kind of the vibe he gives off to me personally. But yeah, it's year one, so obviously a little of that comes with the territory. But that being said, Oklahoma State, the old Gundy boys, are going to come in and do it for us. So I'm taking Oklahoma State.
interesting. Um, so yeah, I just want to bring up last week's pick'em because I thought it was funny. We had a couple funny games on the schedule last week. We had LSU going to Arkansas, and we all talked about how it would be the most LSU thing ever to beat Bama in that game and then go and lose to Arkansas the next week. They only beat Arkansas by 3 points. Like that, they almost dang near did it. Like that. I mean, crazy implications on the whole college football world. And then also, I mean, we talked about Texas A&M and Auburn playing and how both teams might lose and how that's going to be a snoozer. And that game also ended in a 13-10 final, a 13-10 final. So we had some. I mean, although we had some rough takeaways from last week, we also had some good takes on our pick'ems from last week. So let that be known.
There, one little random story to interject here. So the Arkansas LSU game was a
Oh,
freezer for anyone who didn't watch. They're showing the little jugs of like Gatorade jugs full of like bone broth and hot chocolate on the sideline for the boys trying to stay warm out there. And I was just looking on Twitter just before we started, and someone said that they like the groundskeepers showed up to the field in the morning. It's all icy, it's freezing cold. Guess what they thought to do to thaw said
they
ice on
spray
said
some
field?
water on it.
Yeah, they turned on the sprinklers, and guess what that did? Just made an absolute ice sheet of a football field. And so I was just looking at that. I was like, "Oh my gosh, dude!" Reminds me of that freaking Steelers game
the
back in the
turf.
day when the old punter kicks it and the ball just absolutely stuck
Yeah,
in the
that game was
field.
gnarly.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, man!
one thing I wanted to mention to you guys, I think Amazon Prime is doing an absolutely excellent job with these Thursday night football games. The games themselves haven't been that great, but all the alternate feeds, guys. I don't know if you've dipped into those at
Mm-mm.
all, but for the game that was tonight, they actually had LeBron and the shop as like an alternate feed. You half screen is the game, and then the other half of the screen is LeBron and all the guys from the shop. And on this episode, they had like Jalen Ramsey and Jamie Foxx and a couple other stars thrown in there. But one thing I wanted to mention was Jalen Ramsey actually calls out LeBron at one point during the game, because we've all seen on Twitter all the memes and all the videos of all the times that LeBron has been caught lying, right?
Mm.
It's so funny, and like they're not big lies or anything like that. They're just stupid little white lies. Like, for example, like one was when Kobe had his 81 point game, and there's like this interview that LeBron did, and he's like, "Yeah, before the game, I was talking to my friends, and I was like, you know, Kobe's gonna go for 60 tonight." And like no one ever says that, number one. And then
Yeah.
the interview keeps going, and he's like, and then once he got to 60, I was like, well, you might as well go for 80. And everyone's just kind of like sitting around like, what is this guy talking about? What is you on? And then another one that really stood out to me was there's this reporter, and he's asking LeBron. He's like, "Yeah, like you tweeted out that you love The Godfather. Like, what's your favorite scene from the movie?" And LeBron just tries to work his way out of it so hard, but he's just like, "Yeah, The Godfather, just so many good quotes in there. I just can't pick from any of them." And the reporter's like, "Yeah, but
Oh
like, what
man.
what quote really just represents you?" And he's like, "Man, that movie's so iconic. I can't just pick one. You know what I mean?" And like the whole room is just like, "Dude, what is this guy saying?" So definitely props goes out to Jalen Ramsey, not afraid to call the king out.
Yeah, Jalen
Yeah,
Ramsey,
dude. I was
tier one trash
speaking of
talker.
that.
By the way, what a guy.
Oh, absolutely. I just saw that, LeBron was talking about Aaron Rodgers, and he said, when you have a transcendent athlete talent like Aaron Rodgers, and you don't use picks to surround him with
Uh,
superstars, which, if you watch any basketball, you know kind of what is going
yeah.
on with the Lakers. So I just thought it was funny, man. Yeah, those separate little feeds, like the Eli and Peyton one, or all this stuff they're doing with Prime and all that stuff, even shout out MMG on YouTube. He's, doing some co-stream stuff with the Thursday night games
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Um, really cool, man. It's just, another way to bring new eyes to the sport. Might be some kid that's a big fan of LeBron's that's literally never watched a football game in his life, and so it's always good, man. I think there's definitely a cut for everyone in the
Yeah,
sports world,
definitely.
so
I
love
just
to
want
see
to
it.
mention that I'm more so a main feed kind of guy.
Mm.
I just like to listen to announcers and watch the game. But every now and again, I will swap over to those alternate feeds, and whether it's Pat McAfee or the Manning brothers, or like on this one it was the shop. Like, it definitely kind of cool just to experience the game in a different way. So yeah, I really like those options.
That's effectively gonna do it for episode 8 of the Keep It Down podcast presented by Dubby. Like I said in the beginning, be sure to follow our Instagram at Keep It Down Pod. We're posting weekly podcast exclusive content on there, little stories, Q&As, all that good stuff. Sure to leave a follow, drop a like, comment, subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff wrapped into one little bundle. Um, yeah, that's effectively going to do it here from the boys on the Keep It Down podcast. Be good people out there.
Keep it classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Guys, remember next week is Thanksgiving. The boys don't know what the schedule is going to look like for the podcast, but before anything, this over anything else, call your parents. Tell them you love them. Tell them you're thankful for them. Call your cousins, call your brothers, call your sister, call your aunt, call your uncle. Call somebody, tell them you're thankful for them. Make that phone call. You won't regret it. Talk to you guys soon.
Take care, guys.